So the last thing we want to talk about in chapter 1 are different types of experimental designs that can occur when you're doing statistical studies. So the two that we want to talk about in this case are what are called observational studies and experimental studies. So an observational study is just one where they basically just sit back and kind of watch what happens, observe what's going on, and then kind of take results from there. So for an example, if you were studying how kindergarten students solved a certain puzzle, you would just give them the puzzle, sit off to the side, and just see how they do without any kind of interference or anything whatsoever. Where an experimental study is what we're going to do is we're going to assign people into different groups, and then we're going to do different things to the different groups. So for example, if we were again talking about students studying how to solve a puzzle, one group we may actually show how to solve the puzzle, the other group we don't, and then again we kind of sit back and look and compare the results based on that information that's given. So hopefully in this case what we're trying to do as our experiment is to investigate the relationship between these variables. So when one variable changes, does it change the other variable? So our two different variables that we're going to be talking about are going to be our explanatory variable, and the affected variable is called the response variable. So, and again, here we're going to use some different terms and stuff like that for each of these different ideas. So our experimental unit are the actual individuals that are being studied. For example, in our case above, it was the kindergartners that we talked about. Our response variables is what we're trying to measure the individuals. So for example, how long does it take each of them to solve the puzzle? Our explanatory variable is a variable that can cause a change to the response variable. So the goal is we want to see how much of a change it causes to the response. So if we show them how to do the puzzle, or if we give them at least a picture of what the puzzle looks like, how's that going to affect how long it takes them to actually solve the puzzle? So our treatment is the different values of the explanatory variable that we give to the experimental units. So again, we're going to divide them up into treatment groups. So lurking variables can be anything that can, that we're not actually thinking about that can affect the actual study itself. So those we have to be a little careful of and stuff like that. So control group is just the treatment groups. That's the group where nothing is done. So that would be the ones where we just gave them the puzzle, didn't actually show them how to do it or anything. And then so our placebo is going to be like a fake group. So that's going to be some kind of a fake treatment. So these are the ones where they think they're getting something, but they're not actually getting that kind of pill. And then blindings is a way of ensuring that those individuals in the study don't know what treatment group they belong to. So again, like when you are giving someone like a pill or not giving them a pill, so in that case, we don't want the individuals to know whether they're getting the pill or not, because it could affect the way they think about the study and things like that, and so it could affect their overall results. So we want to make sure that the individuals don't know. And then sometimes there's actually what are called a double-blind experiments, which means even the researchers are unaware of who got the placebo and who got the real pill and stuff like that. So, all right, so let's take a look at some of these experimental designs. Let's make sure we can kind of identify what each of the different parts represent. And then I've got some for you guys to practice on as well. So researchers want to investigate whether taking aspirin regularly reduces the risk of heart attack. 400 men between the ages of 50 and 84 are recruited to participate. The men are divided randomly into two groups. One group takes the aspirin, the other group takes the placebo. Each man takes one pill each day for 3 years. At the end of the study, researchers count the number of men in each group who had heart attacks. So in this case, our population is going to be all men ages 50 to 84. So this is going to be all men and our sample is going to be the 400 men that were actually surveyed in this case. So our experimental unit, so again, just to remind you, is the individuals being studied in this case. So our experimental units in this case are these men that we're studying. So men between 50 and 84. And so our control group is going to be the treatment group to which nothing is done. So in this case, our control group are going to be the ones that are getting the placebo. Oops, can't spell it. Oh my goodness, that's ugly. Our explanatory variable, so again, this is the thing that causes the change to the response variable. So the explanatory variable are going to be the ones that are taking the aspirin. So our treatments, so in this case, you're either getting the placebo or you're getting the aspirin. And then finally, our response variable is what we're trying to measure. So in this case, we're trying to see whether an individual gets a heart attack or not. All right, so again, make sure these all look familiar. Make sure you recognize all the things that we've got going on here, and these make sense. And if they don't, definitely let me know. Ask me a question, send me a message through the chat. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to have you guys do practice 2 and practice 3 on your own to see how you do. And then we've got some homework and stuff like that to work on. So again, if you have any questions, just let me know. And then I'll have a place for you to post your answers for the practice problems in a little bit. So good luck.